Welcome to the Cozy Con Corner podcast. We're your hosts, Grace,
Dorothy,
and Bekah.
And guys, can I just say, we got our first email in. You're supposed to applaud.
Yeah. Woo.
Woo! You guys did not seem excited for that. It was like 5-second pause.
I thought that pause you were gonna say more. I don't know.
Yeah, I was waiting for more information. You need cue cards telling us when to clap.
But yes, we got an email in, and I'm so excited to read it. This is the first meal ever on the podcast. I did say email, right? I didn't say me-mail.
You said meal.
You said meal. Yeah.
Are we eating now?
I wasn't gonna say anything, but you caught yourself.
Email.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh,
our first meal.
Email today.
Let's all gather together, hands in prayer.
Yeah, so I am going to be reading it out at the beginning of the podcast, but to let everyone know, you guys can also email in your own convention stories at cozyconcorner@gmail.com. Anyways, I guess I'll just get right to the story. They've actually sent in 2 stories. One of them is a bit of a horror story for them, and then one of them is a really good experience for them. So it's great. It's great. We get a horror and a happy story.
Nice.
They start off with, hello. Hello there.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Mama Donovan on TikTok, and I'm a big fan of your content, and I'm loving your podcast. I've been attending conventions since 2008. Yeah, thank you so much. So I have a handful of stories, so take your pick. Okay, well, we're doing both. We're picking both. There's no other option of that. They called the first one the back massager story. Can I just say, we're starting off strong. The back massager. Mm-hmm. This is the horror story one, guys.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
that one sounds like a horror story.
This one happened at Alamo City Comic-Con in San Antonio, Texas in 2016. They booked a lot of Netflix Marvel stores that year, including, but not limited to, Daredevil, which is Charles Cox, The Punisher, John Bernthal, and The Purple Man, David Tennant. Because of this, I decided to cosplay Claire Temple. She's a nurse, so my cosplay was basically just Scrubs, her name's tag I brought in the Artist Alley. So I was exploring the Dear Rose booths in between panels, and a guy from one booth comments on my outfit and calls me over. He said, "Hey, are you a nurse?" And I said yes, because that was my cosplay after all. So he shows me the item he's selling from his booth, adhesive back massager for your back and shoulders. He asked me if I wanted to try them on. I didn't want to be rude, so I obliged. So he gives me his pitch about how they're great for the back pain and for people who work all day, such as nurses. And as he's giving me the spiel, he starts rubbing my shoulders with his own hands. I wasn't too weirded out, but this was because the massaging was clearly in his job. So he tells me about the special sales. The massager's on, and so it's cheap. It's just $75.
Just 75?
Yeah, just 75. Just $75.
That's more than I would pay for that.
So I said, sorry, I'm saving my money for something else, actually. I would have walked away, but I still had the product actually on my back, so I didn't know how to take it off. So we just go back and forth. What are you saving up for? I'm going to get David Tennant's autograph tomorrow. Who is that? First off, who is that? I'm going to cut this off. Do you guys please tell me you guys know who David Tennant is?
Nope, we'll look it up.
Oh my gosh. No, they're about to say.
Is it Daredevil?
No!
I don't know.
He was the 10th Doctor in Doctor Who. He's also the Purple Man in Jessica Jones.
How would I know that?
Yeah, I don't know either of those things.
It's Doctor Who.
Still no.
Oh, guys.
Oh, well, now that I looked him up, he looks familiar, but I've never seen him on TV. It's like in posters and junk like that.
I'll just continue. Come on, you don't need that. Everything is a blur after that. But eventually he takes the adhesives off my back. He clearly wasn't going to take no or goodbye for an answer. So once I was free, I just bolted. I ran from the booth so fast from behind me, and I can hear him say, "Wait, shake my hand first." What?
Why?
So that's probably the most intrusive, pushy vendor I've ever encountered. If you want a more positive story, here's my encounter with the Punisher, John Bernthal, at the same convention. So it kind of just leads into the next story. Which, oh my god, guys, can I just say, vendors.
Especially that he massaged your back with his hands, even though he was trying to sell you a product. I would have walked away then.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you now, those kind of vendors that sell like heat packets or massagers or just stuff that you would find at a state fair, basically, that is those are just companies that send people out to go do that. And they're not, sometimes they don't know who they're hiring. That's just what it is. So, no, I don't like, I'm scared of those. Some of those
it's
vendors.
weird that you have that at a con, because usually at dealer's hall it's just at least pop culture type stuff, not massagers.
No, it's actually really smart. But some cons do ban those. They don't allow those to happen at cons. Like, you only have to have pulp culture.
Is that maybe more common at comic conventions or very, very large conventions?
Yes, it's more common. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Large conventions, no, because you can't even get into them.
Because I typically just go to anime conventions. That might be why I haven't really seen it.
Okay, but can I just say, one of my favorite booths that are just really weird is the candy booths. Like, they'll just have buckets of candy. I will take it. Or they'll have fudge. They'll have a fudge booth. The candy booths are my favorite booths when they get food. The only problem with those, though, I feel bad because with food booths at cons, they have to pay the convention center to sell food there.
Dang.
So that's a that's a thing. Sucks. Or something like that. But yeah, when you see food vendors at a con, a percentage of their money is going towards the convention. Like the hall. Not the owner of the convention, but the hall. So that's fun facts.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I would have thought it'd be harder for them to sell stuff there and that they'd have to get a whole bunch of special permits and things.
Oh yeah, you also need a license if you're like, if it's not already prepackaged.
Yeah.
Like you need a food license.
I wouldn't think there'd be easy. Extra taxes though. That's surprising.
Yeah.
It's not even tax. You're getting a percentage of your sales to the hall.
Rude.
But it's different for every hall. Some don't charge depending on what it is. But most do. So that's why you don't see a lot of food vendors. Or it's the actual convention hiring food vendors to come. It's either or.
This is slightly random, but I went to a con once where in the vendor's hall there was just a Chick-fil-A in the vendor's hall. Like, it belonged to the convention center, but it was in the same room. Yeah!
Oh, I know what you're talking about! Yeah? I know the exact one!
Yeah.
But then they only serve chicken sandwiches if it was open.
Oh, really? I don't go to it, but yeah. There was always a really long line.
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
I mean, alright.
Okay, and then this is their second story. This one's called The Punisher Story. They're referring to the actor, by the way. This is the happy one. So, his version of the Punisher was introduced in the second season of Daredevil. Before I watched him, I really wasn't into the Punisher that much. I knew who he was, but I didn't simp for him yet. I love that they put simp in there. That was the... I was laughing so hard because I was like, yes, you know what kind of person they are. When I watched his version, I just became infatuated with him. He brought a lot of humanity to the character that isn't always there in the comics. He also got rugged, tough guy act down pat. So when I found he was going to be a guest at the con, I was ecstatic. To make things better, he was hosting the official after party at the downtown club. That con had a special deal where if you purchased a VIP party pass, you got to hang out in a VIP section with any guest who decided to attend the party. Side note, only about 3 out of the dozen celebrity guests ended up attending this party, and for a short period of time. But that's besides the point.
It's annoying.
So I went to the Netflix Marvel panel and got in line to ask him a question based on his character. He gave me a good answer, so I ended with, "Thank you very much, I'm looking forward to your party tonight." So cut to the party. I'm kind of nervous to see who's actually going to show up. The VIP section is only separated from the main party by a velvet rope, and the dance floor outside the VIP section. So I spent the first hour of the party switching between sections, also taking a lot of shots. And I have a high tolerance. But after 7 shots, I was definitely feeling something. So when the few celebrities guests do make an appearance, I go over to the VIP section to talk to them, and then I return to the dance floor to groove. I'm not a trained dancer by any means, but when it's a party and my song comes on, I groove as hard as I can, especially after drinking. Who doesn't? Like, when your groove is on, you just gotta get out there. So eventually John Berthal does arrive at the party. I get so excited to go over and to talk to him. We couldn't really hear each other over the music, but I got a picture with him and that was good enough for me. So at Comic-Cons, you can purchase photo ops also with the celebrities with certain times. You go stand in line, you say hi, and strike a pose with the celebrity. And then they move to line along. I had to purchase a photo op with John that day after the party, not realizing I was going to get a chance to get a photo with him at the party. You can have other people in the photo with you, so I took my cousin so he had to get to see him too. So the next morning, I get all dressed up for my picture, but I feel terribly hungover. My head is killing me, so I took some generic brand ibuprofen and pushed myself out there because I was not missing this picture. So my cousin and I wait in line, no problem, and eventually it's our turn. When John sees me, he says in a cool guy voice, let me get my cool guy voice on. I cannot do a cool guy
Go
voice.
low. Go low.
Hey, how you doing, mama?
You could have
enjoyed
gone
the party
lower.
last night. I can't
You just gotta be like a frog, like get deep in your throat and push it out. Feel your Adam's apple and push it down.
Let me try again then.
Come on, cool guy voice.
Hey,
Oh yeah.
how you doing, mama?
Not a cool guy, a very creepy guy, but a guy nonetheless. We're getting closer.
Yeah?
You enjoyed the party last night?
Oh
Yeah,
man, I hope he doesn't come over here. I hope he stays where he is. This guy does not seem like good news.
I'm trying,
Stay
okay?
back.
We're not, we give up.
Stay
I'm
back.
giving up on this voice. And they put, look, I'm Mexican. On Willow or Mama is just a very casual term of Dermot that chill guys throw out there. It's like it's nothing. But coming from him, it meant everything. So I smile, get into the pose for picture and tell him, I did actually. My head hurts. And he quits back in a fun way. It's all that drinking. You gotta stop the drinking. I didn't even try for the cool voice. The cool guy voice at that point. So we got our photo taken. I walk out of the photo area with my cousin. Once we're a good distance, I just grab my cousin by the shoulders and start shaking him, jumping up and down, exclaiming, he recognized me! The Punisher actually recognized me! He called me Mama! I'm sorry if that's not exactly how it went, but that's I'm like, So not only did Punisher Senpai notice me, he also told me to stop drinking. That was one of the best guest experience I have ever had. Did you stop drinking, though? That's the real question. Also, the email. This is a clap time, guys. Clap. Cue the clapping.
Yay!
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so happy someone's finally slid in a story. This was such a good story, too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Both of them. That's like exactly the horrors of a con. And then also the good things about a con. It was perfect. It was perfect. Also, it's kind of interesting because we don't usually go for autographs, really.
Yeah.
Not
Ever.
No.
We're mostly there for socialize. So it's always interesting to hear celebrity stories that people have. But also, guys, please do send in your emails. We want to get more of the emails sent in so we can talk about your guys' stories. We're super excited to read about them. I was super excited. I know I didn't let Dorothy or Bekah read it, so they could have a real-life reaction. But this week's episode, we're mostly going to be talking about what cons are and what to expect because, I realized a lot of people who listen that I've talked to have just never been to a con. Like, they only watch YouTube videos or they listen to our podcast now and they hear about stories that happen or just vlogs. I thought maybe a little bit this week we can just go more in deep about what to expect for cons and what cons are like. And I can give you a little bit more background on how cons work. But it's a group effort. We're going to start. Dorothy's going to start out just explaining the process of going to a con, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then we're just going to go from there. So, Dorothy, if you would kick us off.
Okay, yeah. Well, conventions, there's a whole bunch of different types of conventions, first of all, but they all typically have the same setup and the same kind of vibe. You have anime conventions, pop culture conventions, comic conventions, gaming conventions. There are others, but that's the gist of it, right?
Yeah, but there's literally conventions for everything. They have furry conventions, they have Walking Dead conventions.
Oh, furry conventions.
Those are wild.
Yeah, never been to one.
I've never been to one. There's some in Chicago, but those, like, from what I've heard and seen, those are wild.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go just to see what it's like. Because they look like a lot of fun, actually. Look like a lot of fun. But yeah, there's a convention for anything you can think of.
Yeah. But it's still the same vibe. Like, you could go to a comic convention and cosplay anime, or an anime convention and cosplay from a comic or a game or whatever.
Yeah.
Or a random character. Like, and there's panels sometimes for stuff that isn't anime at anime conventions, and yeah, it all mixes in
There's
together.
anime panels at comic conventions.
Yep.
It's like,
Mhm.
yeah. But the only thing that's different is that more leans towards something the con is after. Like, if it's an anime convention, there's more anime vendors. If it's a comic convention, there's more comic book vendors.
And
So
more
that's the main
panels.
thing.
Actually, there are some conventions where they try to, like OhioCon tries to have more anime stuff in traditional Japanese panels. Like, they really, really push to get more panels like that at the con, rather than a bunch of random pop culture panels. Conventions typically last 3 days. It's always during a weekend. Sometimes it's just a Saturday. Usually it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sometimes the cons will start on the Thursday, but typically it's just those 3 days.
If we were in Utah, it would be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, though. Only in Utah, though.
Oh, not on Sundays?
Yeah, there's no Sundays in Utah.
Yeah, all the cons I've been to have been pretty much just Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or with the Thursday.
Yep.
Yeah, I've never had one that didn't have a Sunday. That's different.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah.
It's Utah.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much to the Sunday, because usually the con ends at 4 or 5 p.m. Yeah, the main draw for conventions is typically just, oh, look, there's a lot of nerds going here. So that's kind of what brings a lot of people, I think, is just the fact that you want to be surrounded by people with similar interests. But there are events that go on. So there's main events, and there are panels that happen. Panels are run by the fans, like the people that are going to the con run it. And then they have actual events that are run by the guests. Yes, there are guests. That's another thing. And there's the vendors hall, and that's where they sell stuff. And there's also the artist alley where they sell stuff, but then it's artists and not just vendors. Yeah, some the different events, sometimes they have dances, cosplay contests. Those are the big ones. There's just random ones at some. One time I went to one and there was Capture the Flag was one of the main events for the con. It was a blast. I had a ball.
So
My wig almost fell off, but I got into it. Yeah.
I went to a wedding at a con. That was fun.
Yeah?
There was a panel, but they were having their wedding there. Like, they got ordained there and everything. It was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle themed one.
That's a really cool thing about cons, is that the events and panels can be anything. Like, legit anything. They can be sports, they can be discussions. There's a lot of tutorial panels, I guess you'd call them, or discussion panels, where you just sit and they tell you how to do something, or you sit and have a discussion about a particular topic. I run panels myself whenever I'm, not like a guest or running the con or anything, but I just go online, I fill out a form to do a panel, and if they approve it, then I get to run a panel. That's literally it.
It's not complicated.
No, it's really simple. It's really simple with panels, because you can just do it yourself. Like, if you're going to a con, a lot of times you have to be 18, of course, but they don't actually check that at any I've been to. But you're supposed to be.
Really?
Yeah, no, they have not. They've never checked my ID anytime I've done a panel. Which is kind of funny. That's true, though. Yeah, it's really, the main difference is just between panels and events, is the events are run by the celebrities at the con, or the con itself, like the people running the con are doing it. But you still have huge variety, and it's basically, you could have something that's a panel at one con be the main event at another con, or one of the big events.
Bekah, do you want to explain badges?
A lot of times, I just pre-reg, so I don't have to pay there. So I can just take a bunch of cash and not have to worry about it.
Yeah, so to get into a con, you have to pay. So sometimes they let you just walk around the convention space without a badge, but there are other times where you have to get one to get in. But if you want to go to panels, events, vendors hall, any of that stuff, you have to purchase a badge. So a badge is something you can, like, wear around your neck. It's a little thing that has the name of the con on it, usually. Pictures, it's for the con itself. We have, our graphic for the Cozy Con Corner looks like a badge. That's why it looks like that. Where it says listener is usually where you'd put your name on the badge. The badges can range from, I've seen $35 badges to like $80 sometimes, depending on how big of a con you're going to. You can get a badge for only 1 day. You can get it for 3 days. And like Bekah was saying, you can purchase the badge at the convention itself, but there's typically a really long line. Or you can usually buy it online, and if you buy it super in advance before the con, you get discounts sometimes. So I usually pre-register for a convention because their line's shorter.
Yeah, I also do that. Just because I don't want to stand in line all the time. For most of the Indiana cons I've gone to, it's like maybe a 15-minute line. I think the longest I've been in a line was like KatsuCon, because it's just huge, and we were in there for like 3 hours.
That wraps around the building.
Yeah, and that was
pre-register.
Yeah, that was
pre-register. But that's a really big con, also.
Well, that's the thing. If you go to a disorganized con, the line's really bad. The first con I went to, that is now dead, had a huge problem with registration in general. So even if you pre-registered, you'd be waiting in line for like an hour. There'd be 15 people ahead of you, but their system would keep crashing, and they wouldn't know what they were doing, and it would get messed up.
No, that sounds horrible.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a huge distinction, though. There's different types of conventions, but a small con versus a huge con, oh my gosh, you're looking at night and day. Because a lot of small cons can be horribly organized. So even though it's tiny, so you think, oh, the lines are going to be short and this is going to be easier or whatever, sometimes it's so poorly organized that everything takes longer and is more difficult. Or seems more crowded because of the way they have it set up and organized.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but the first time I went to a con, I had only heard stuff about big conventions. So I got there and I was like, well, where's the rest of the con? Is there more stuff going on? There wasn't. It was a tiny convention. It was just this little spot of space. So don't be confused. You might be going to a tiny con, guys, if you're like watching this before your first con. There might be nothing there. Like, that might be it. I went to one where it was literally just a vendor's hall. And then they had a little corner blocked off to do panels. But it was one big room. That was the whole con.
Oh my god.
Like I've mentioned at the beginning, like the first episode, I come from a vendor standpoint. So I've worked cons. Like, I know what different cons are. I've helped vendors, so many different vendors at every con. For like a vendor's routine for a con is, how a vendor lives is we go to a con every weekend. And we call it shows. We don't even call it a con. We call it a show. We're like, oh, what show are you going to next? And I've used this terminology with all my friends. And even you guys are like, what's a show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
And I'm like, it's a con.
I had no idea what it was when you first asked me about it. I was like, what are you talking about?
I caught on, but I was like, that's a weird way she's calling that.
But all the vendors call it that. I'm just telling you. An artist. Yeah, so we go week to week. We either we fly or we drive, and we get there the day before or 2 days before, because Thursday is setup day for us. Or if it's a 4-day show and it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we get there Wednesday and we start setting up. For the bigger shows, sometimes we get 2 days to set up or 1 day to set up, depending on who it is. But we usually get there the day before. We get there at 8 a.m. and we just start setting up our stuff. And to get into a con is a whole nother process that I'm not going to talk about because it's way too complicated. Some booths take 2 hours. Some take 8 hours. And some take 20 hours to set up one booth. The bigger booths, which are the 10 by 20s or anything above 10 by 20, usually take hours. So one booth at a con is usually 10 by 10. Which is a 10-foot by 10-foot space. And bigger booths, like 2 booths, are 10 by 20 spaces. And those usually take longer. It's just what it does. So the booths I work for, which are bigger booths, I'm there all day. I'm there for 12 hours setting up. And then next morning, on Friday, which usually is a late start, we get there at 8 a.m. And then the con will open at 12, so we're still setting up. Also, it sucks because you can't leave your booth if you have one person there. So this is where I come in. This is my job mainly because I'm friends with a lot of vendors. I've just been known as the go-to person if you need to like watch your booth or to go to the bathroom. So I go to booths and I'm like, you need to go to the bathroom? Or they'll text me. I have so many people's numbers like, hey, I need to go to the bathroom. Can you watch my booth for a few minutes? I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. I'll go have fun. Go have fun. Take your time. Or I'll go get food for people I'm the runner girl. But then, like, once let me just tell you, Sunday, guys. Sunday, you'll see vendors start taking down their stuff before the con is even closed. There is a reason. We just want to go home. Because usually we have to get on the road right away. And some of us live 6 hours or 12 hours. So we got to start driving to go to the next con. We could be in Colorado and we have to go all the way to Pennsylvania. So don't be too angry with vendors that take down a little bit early. There's reasons. There's reasons. Because some taking down is a lot faster though. It could take an hour to 4 hours depending on who you are. But we just want to take down and leave. That's all we want to do. But yeah, that's like from a vendor standpoint. Do you guys have any questions? I feel like I covered most of it.
Like, I feel like it would suck to sit there the whole time. Because every time I go to the dealer's hall, you're just sitting, selling stuff, looking sad. I walk through and sorry, I'm not going to buy anything.
Wait, what's the question here?
You're the day-to-day. After you've set up, now you need to sell things, and you sit there for 8 hours straight or whatever. How is that?
Oh, it's great. Oh, it's great.
Great.
I love my job. Like, okay, so there are certain booths where they have to sell the product. But a lot of booths at cons, you don't have to sell the product. The product sells itself. So with booths that have to talk to sell them,
Yeah, like the massager.
I feel bad for them.
You had to have her massage her shoulder, she still didn't buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they have to sell their product. They have to talk about it. They have to get you to buy it. Where a lot of us, we can just sit around, smile, and ask, "Oh, if you have any questions, let me know." That's just how it is. When it's slow, we'll gossip and be like, "Oh, this show sucks. Oh, we have to wait till Saturday. Just wait till Saturday," which is Saturday is the big day because that's when all the people come. So that's where everyone makes all the money is Saturday. But Fridays and Sundays, we have no expectations. Like, the goals for a vendor is we want to make back the booth, our hotel, and travel fees. If we make profit, woo! We're doing great. But booths are really expensive, first off, no matter what. And there is a difference between an artist alley booth and a vendor's booth.
Yeah.
Like, artist alley is half the price. I've never had to work an artist alley booth. I've like been a bathroom girl for an artist alley booth, but don't really know too much about that. Yeah, but no, we all enjoy our job. We really do.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's so much fun because everyone that goes to a con is happy to go to a con. No one's ever upset to go to a con.
Except for the parents, like when you're a kid.
Yeah. Not initially.
No, the parents are more excited than the children.
Stuff might happen at a con that throws off your day. But
Ooh,
overall,
yeah.
you still want to go.
Yeah. I mean, stuff can happen, but it's still, you went there willingly. It
Yeah.
wasn't like going to school
Hmm.
or to a grocery store because you had to go buy groceries because you ran out.
Yeah. Well, that's good then. I thought it might suck because I'm specifically not going to say what con this was because I'm going to talk trash about it. But one time I did volunteer at a con. It was only a 2-day con and it was super small and I had to do badge check. So basically what I had to do is I sat outside of the vendor's hall and I had to check that each person who was coming in had a badge. So I had to ask them, it was wristbands, not badges, but still, because it was so small, so they didn't do badges. But I had to say, hey, let me see your wrist for each person. And it sucked. It was,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, it was the worst.
Volunteering and being a vendor is two completely different things.
I didn't know, because it was horrible. And I was sitting directly in the sun, too. Like, the window was right in front of me, so the sunlight was right in my eyes. But I couldn't move. Yeah. It was just me, so I just, it's not like there was a second person with me also checking. And I had to, fight some people sometimes, because they'd try to walk right in past me or sneak in, because they didn't have a wristband, or they had the one from the day before, but they didn't pay for both days. Oh my gosh, the drama was so bad, too, because, like you mentioned, the vendors pay to be able to be into the convention space, right? There was nobody at this con. There was all this hype up about it. It looked like it was a huge con online with all this stuff going on. But then you got there and they only had half the stuff they said was going to be there. Like, they said there was going to be a whole extra gaming room. There wasn't. They just didn't have it. There was no explanation. I asked someone, they're like, oh, I don't know, I guess we didn't do that this year. It's on your website. And it was like a $50 price, too, for the wristband for the weekend.
Oh.
And there was like nobody there. And so the vendors were all upset, and a couple of them said to me, hey, make sure you let some people in, haha.
Yep, that sounds about right.
I felt bad for them. I'm like, I know they just paid a bunch of money to be vendors at this con, and they're not making anything because there's nobody here.
Yep, and that's...
and like everything...
That's when vendors cry.
Everything cost extra at this con, too. They had, like, 2 guests, and their prices for autographs were very expensive. Well, not... It was, like, I think the cheapest autograph you could get was $25. And, I mean, you had to get the badge to be able to get into the spot, right? And then there had a gaming room, but you had to pay for each game, because it was, like, a virtual reality experience thing.
What?
And then they had... Yeah, like, you had to... Yeah, it was $5 a round.
The gaming room
usually
should be
like
free.
stuff like that is free.
Yeah, I know. I was just like, are you serious? And then yeah, they did have the only thing really to do besides the panels, and they only had like 2 panels the entire con. I'm serious. 2-day con, they had like 1 panel each day.
Oh my god.
The only other
horrible.
thing to do. I know, it was a $50 badge, guys, for the weekend. Like, that's so expensive.
50?
Yes, 50.
Oh
50.
gosh.
The big old 50. Yeah. They had board games, but they weren't like traditional board games like Monopoly or Munchkin. What are the new age hipster? I don't play board games, but I know there's like
I know. Sorry.
Yeah, I know there's like certain ones that people specifically play at conventions because they have very particular rules. So people go to cons and spend the whole time in the tabletop gaming room playing them. They didn't have those.
Oh, you mean like Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic Card or
like Magic? Yes, like
No.
games like that. Yeah,
Magic.
yeah.
Okay.
But they didn't have that. It was all new because they got the tabletop games from a specific company that was trying to advertise their new games. So it was all these new games that no one knew how to play.
Oh.
Yikes.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's my only experience with working at a con. It's not fun at all. The other volunteers were not super nice either. But I don't blame them because I also was having a horrible time, so my mood was not in the best either.
I don't know. Oh my god. It happens a lot where if a vendor or an artist person is really aggressive towards me or just mean, I will avoid that vendor or artist the whole weekend.
Mm-hmm. I have tea with
because
one
I'm just
specific
scared of
artist
them.
booth because they were mean to me when I was 14. I see them all the time still at cons. I hate them. Like, I will see their booth, I will glare. It was one person. Makes me so mad.
I feel that it's like for everyone. It's like if you feel awkward or you said that you'll come back later to buy it and then you find something else you want, you avoid that booth.
Yeah.
You avoid it no matter what.
Yeah.
I've done that a lot. It's like, oh, I'll come back and I'll find something better and then I won't come back. And so I'll just avoid them like the plague.
One time I went to a booth, they were trying to advertise for, it was either a manga or like a game they were creating, and I thought it looked kind of cool. So I walked up to the booth and I was like, hey, can I get some information about this? But I was super shy, so it took a lot to get to that point. I worked myself up and I was like, hi, can I get some information about this? And they said, oh, I'm sorry, the other person's on lunch right now, but they'll be back in like 30 minutes if you want to ask them. I avoided them like the plague. Never mind. I'm so sorry. I do not have the courage to walk up to you a second time. We're not doing this again.
One and done. What's the other part of cons we can talk about?
Don't get con food. It's not worth it. It's always bad.
You have to eat.
Yeah, just leave.
You have to
eat.
Like, it's okay to leave the convention center. Like, just walk
and come back later.
Yeah, walk down the street to like a Steak and Shake or McDonald's or something. Don't buy the food there. It's always overpriced. And it tastes gross.
If you're lucky, you'll go to a con that has fast food joints in it, but...
Yeah, I've never.
Yeah.
The line at the Starbucks at cons, though. Oh my... I swear, it felt longer than the autograph lines I've waited in the couple times I've done that.
Yeah, they are pretty long. I was saying if you wanted to wait for Starbucks, then I would just get Starbucks. Or leave the convention.
Just leave.
Yeah.
Just go find food. Or
Just
bring your own food.
Bring
your own food.
pack it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like going back to school. Pack a lunch. Get some Capri Sun. Had a fruit roll-up for fun. And then all the kids are going to be jealous because you have a fruit roll-up. Like, it literally is like school. Because if you bring food and you make friends there, they're like, oh my god, you brought food? And then you start pulling out your fruit snacks. And then you pull out your fruit roll-up. They're like, oh, share with me. I'll trade you.
That's not even what happens. If you pull out food at a con, they'll be like, oh, you brought food? I haven't eaten in 2 days. And then you end up just giving it to them because you're like, please, God, I can see you're about to pass out. If you didn't have on blush right now, I would think you were gray. This is a whole problem with people not eating at cons. Don't be that person.
Yeah. Don't pass out at a con.
Yeah, don't pass out at a con. It happens a lot.
Bring food and bring water. You do not want to pay for an ambulance. You can pay $5 for water. It's better than $5,000 for an ambulance.
Yeah, ambulances at cons. Yeah.
Also, props and garment. So if you read on each con has their own restrictions. So, like some props, they can't be taller than you, or you can't have guns. You usually can never have anything shaped like guns anymore.
Or real swords, or anything like that.
Or real swords, you can't. It has to be blunt. It has to be. You can't have real arrows. You have to have fake. It has to
Anything
be attached
metal
to the prop.
Is usually not allowed.
If you have a bow and arrow, like you're cosplaying like Hawkeye from the Avengers, you have to have it unstrung. Like you can't have the string attached to the bow and arrow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It is different though at every con though.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is. Yeah. So make sure you read the guidelines on their website. Also, wear shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Do not think that this character doesn't have shoes, so I shouldn't wear shoes. No.
Please
wear shoes.
You have to wear. They'll yell at you if you don't wear shoes.
Also, wear actual shoes. Roller skates don't count.
Oh, you can't wear roller skates at some of them.
I saw these two cosplayers wear roller skates, and later I saw them like in passing, and they were carrying them.
Yeah.
So they had to take them off.
You got to see if that's allowed. Even 99% of conventions don't allow anything that's wheeled.
Yeah, even Heelys I've seen banned at some cons.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and slippers. You need to have a hard sole.
I have really slippers. I wear slippers as of like.
I don't know. At some cons,
I wear my slippers all the time.
I don't even remember which con, but there were some where you can't wear slippers. They did make that one invention that people were talking about a lot because it looks like you're barefoot, but there's a sole on the bottom. Those are still not allowed at a lot of cons. Those don't even count. Just you don't want a volunteer to yell at you and ruin your day because you had your feelings hurt or had to take off a piece of your cosplay or call someone to bring you shoes. Like, just make sure you read the rules and are careful about it. I don't like it when volunteers yell at me. Like, I sit down for 1 second and don't realize I'm sitting in front of a door, and they come over and scream at me because I'm creating a fire hazard.
Yeah.
Ruins my day. Well, it doesn't ruin the day, but it makes me sad. Sorry.
Especially because there's no sitting area, so you have to sit on the floor. But you're not going to sit in the middle of the hall. You're going to sit against the wall. But of course, against the wall, there's just doors.
There's a door there.
Doors.
I didn't know. No one was going through it.
So, another thing a lot of conventions offer is meetups. And when we say meetups, we mean like it's character-themed meetup where... Not character, but fandom themed, where there could be a Harry Potter meetup. So if you're cosplayed as Harry Potter, you can go to that meetup and see a bunch of other Harry Potter cosplayers. And then they'll do like different things. Like, can we have all the Harrys? Can we have all the Hermiones?
It's a photo shoot a lot of the time.
Harry and Ron.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're like big photo shoots.
If I may, I hate meetups. I really hate meetups. So again, like Grace was explaining, it's like a cosplay photo shoot thing a lot of the times. I mean, it's also to meet other people in the fandom. But I've found with the majority of meetups I've gone to, and I have gone to a lot, I have, for various fandoms, they're not talking to people. Like, they're not very social or nice. They're just there for the photo shoot. And it turns into a competition of sorts a lot of the times. Because if you're, so you're going to a Harry Potter photo shoot, right? Who's the most popular character to cosplay? I don't actually know. But let's say...
Probably Draco.
Know? Probably Draco? Okay, so there's 5 Dracos there, right? Now, because it depends on things, but I found a lot of the times, let's say you have 5 Dracos all there, you go and you're cosplaying Draco, all the other Dracos are going to be rude to you. Or let's say another Draco there has a great cosplay, and the rest of your cosplays, like, maybe aren't the best, or maybe that person's just really hot, and everybody else, you're average, right? Everyone's giving the other Draco attention, and is trying to push you out of the photo shoot, and it says, hey, let's get all the Dracos together in one picture. Now what you've done is you've gotten all the Draco cosplayers together in one picture, and now people are going to pick apart and say, that Draco's the best. That Draco has that, and that one doesn't. That one's better than that one because of this. You're creating a direct comparison between the cosplays and creating tension, pressure, and competition that shouldn't be there. Now, this is not always the case, but this is how it's been at a lot that I've gone to. Like, oh my god, Love Live meetups are brutal. They were brutal when I went. Oh, they were so mean to me.
Dorothy, no. Yeah, but you know what? I would say go to a meetup once, see if you like it or not. If not, just leave. You don't have to stay. You do not have to stay.
Like, you can check it out. I'm just saying I don't like them at all. Because of those reasons. And a couple more, but we'll leave it there. But, yeah.
Like, I leave, like, I go there, and I usually stay halfway, and then I leave.
Because you can still, it's a great way to meet other people in the fandom. It's just that a lot of times, in my experience, those people aren't there to meet other people and make friends. It's like a competition thing where they want to get their picture taken.
Have we covered all the con bases now? I feel like
there's a lot to every convention, and there's much variety between the different cons. You can go to 2 small anime conventions and they will be night and day different, right?
Yeah.
It just really depends. We can't cover every base. You just got to go experience it for yourself. Just go for it, you know?
Every con will be different no matter where you go. Like, you'll have similarities, but there's always something that's going to be a bit different. Doesn't matter. And your experience is also different every time. You won't have the same experience or the same interaction.
Even just one year versus the next at the same con. A lot of times they make changes. You meet different people, right? You might have a bad experience one year, absolutely great experience the next, depending on who's there, who's volunteering, all that kind of stuff.
What is a dream con for you guys to go to? What is your dream con?
I don't know anymore. Because it was KatsuCon for a long time.
Mine is Anime Boston.
DragonCon.
DragonCon?
But, like, I'd want to have, like, top tier cosplay. Like, I wouldn't want to go now. Because I don't think I'm up to par.
You're up to par.
What about you, Dorothy?
Well, for me at this point, I'm going to go ahead and log this. February 22nd, 2021. I would like to go to a convention. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. I don't care. I will go to some tiny, crappy, disorganized con at this point that lasts a day. All right? My dream is to go to a con. Thank you.
Well, that about sums up the episode. Guys, if you haven't gone to a con and you get the opportunity to go, go. Let me just tell you, just go. Experience it. Go have fun. But there is so much to a con that we didn't cover. But that is really the basis of it, of what you need to know, and how it's run and everything. But you guys can follow us on our Instagram, our Twitter. We're going to be posting this on YouTube stuff. I want to be, in the future, March. My goal in March is to start making, like, little animatics for this, which I'm super excited for. But expect that on TikTok. Also follow our TikToks. But like I said again, you guys can email us at cozyconcorner@gmail.com and send in your own convention stories. Thank you for listening. Hope you guys listen to the next episode. Have a wonderful night, guys, or day, afternoon, life. Have a wonderful life.
Bye.
Bye.